This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason Glick, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
Oh, not much, but hey, 300, man.
300. There's a lot of coolness with 300, isn't there?
From a
300th
point of
episode?
view, yes, sir.
Yeah. If you're Frank Miller, it means something else. Anyway, um,
Yeah,
you
if you're a
know.
howling supporter of the alt right, it means a lot too.
Yeah, evidently. So we could take more neutral ground than that. I think so. I think that 300 means the episode that we're on right now, and that's fucking
Yes.
fantastic. So there we go. So what do you have in store for this conversation?
Well, it's like I guess it's like the way things worked out. It's something like pretty timely, I think, because like I guess we're both able to talk about that Joker movie that came out. It's like over a week ago.
Yeah. So yeah, it premiered last week, and it broke some records, I believe, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah, like biggest October opening. Like it beat Venom
Yeah.
last year. It's like
Mhm.
and it's like the second biggest like R rated opening behind the original Deadpool. Well, Deadpool and Deadpool 2. So it's third biggest R-rated opening, but still made a lot of fucking money for a film that a sense of that its creators basically said, no, we're doing a standalone film. We're not tying into any of that Batman mythos or anything. We're doing like a serious take on this, on the origin of the Clown Prince of Crime and all, which
Mhm.
I think has its own issues. We'll get to that in a bit. So
Absolutely. Okay.
yeah, but I guess like John, you told me you really liked it though. Like
Haha. Yes. Because I can appreciate. There's. It's to me. I liked it as a film. Now, mind you, my whole uh, my whole way of reviewing films is literally twofold. So I look at it from somebody that perspective of I don't know what this is. I don't know what the universe is. Take like Star Wars, The Last Jedi. I can take that film and I look at it and I go, you know what? If I don't know a lot about things, and I'm just looking at how everything's laid out, the plot structure. Yeah, there's a slow speed chase in it. That's okay. It's a little O.J. Simpson-y, but that's okay. Do the elements kind of work? Is it a little long winded? Does it do this or do that? How's it work as a standalone film? That's how. So when I make the comment that this is a good film, this is a good film. Standalone. I'm totally good with it. I like Joaquin Phoenix's character. And the way that the way it was portrayed. So that is my basis for saying I like the film. However,
yeah, here we go.
this is not a film that is simply about some guy who is dejected down and is turned and spit on by every element of society. This is
Yeah, it's like
about Joker.
yeah, it's about the guy who like he said he's turned he was like who's like spit on by society and then becomes one of our most iconic supervillains.
Right. And I was kind of hoping for the whole element of and I know everybody. At least the scuttlebutt is that everybody was comparing this to Heath Ledger's Joker. I suppose because, well, not that Jared Leto's Joker was. I think most
We're
people.
not going to talk about him here.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I didn't see Suicide Squad. Did
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see Suicide
No, I
Squad?
did not see Suicide Squad. But I'm leaving this one out of the conversation because I don't think that he was a major player in that film. Correct me if I'm wrong, internet, but I don't think that he was the focus. When you're talking about like The Dark Knight and you're talking about this film, he most certainly is the focus. So it is the best comparison we can do because I don't recall any other movies, that have him represented like that outside of Suicide Squad. I mean, like represented the character, the Joker, right? Outside
Hmm.
of that. So now you put on your filters and you go, this is And this is my opinion. A lot of this is very antithetical to what the character of the Joker actually is. If I have
Wait,
to.
did you say antithetic or empathetic?
No, antithetical.
Okay.
So when I look at this movie and I think of who the Joker is, I don't think of this guy. Mostly, I don't think of this person, this character that's built in this movie. And I have to wonder about this, and maybe you have a little bit more, but I know that his name has been represented as Jack Napier before, which I want to say that we can thank Tim Burton for this
Yes, we can.
origin. But it has been represented. I think he's been represented as that name before in comics. So now his name is
Arthur Fleck.
Arthur Fleck, right? So okay, so there's that. And maybe there's subterfuge. But again, I'm doing the same thing that I did with The Last Jedi. I start filling in the blanks for the writers, and this is where I have this is one of my bigger problems with this. It's like if I have to sit here and justify things to make a character work in my head, that means you didn't write him well. And that's, it's like, well, maybe, and by the way, everyone, this is a little going to go into spoiler territory, but I have to say it. But, maybe, he got his followers and his henchmen from the following and the uprising after the killing, and he was, rescued. Okay, fine. You can make that argument. It doesn't say it. It's not in the script of the film. Maybe we'll get some kind of extended cut when we get the Blu-ray, but we're not. That's not something you have to put that in there. Maybe him being off the medication makes him more of an intelligent, being off of it makes him more of an intelligent criminal, but we don't really see that in this film. It's not explained. It's not even addressed. We know that his medication stops.
Because funding was cut off.
Right, because funding was cut off. And this is, by the way, I kind of dig that kind of whole, like, okay, we're going to show, like, what happens when social programs that go to benefit some of the more needy elements of our society are killed. Okay, cool. I'm fine with that. That's fine. But, we did talk about the White Knight on this podcast before,
yes.
Which is almost like
like the inverse of this story.
Exactly the inverse. And that's one of the things that I kind of go, okay, if we're doing this, then that means that are we changing the mythos? Are we redefining it? You stated earlier, this is the creators wanted to just do this whole thing originally. Okay, so now we're talking about something totally different because his character...
Stand alone, motherfucker!
Stand alone! Now, by the way, if they had just ironed out some of these issues and kind of made the continuity fit his personality, I think that DC should do more of these films. Because I think that it shows they have potential to do R-rated films that are good. So that's my, I'd recommend people see it, but if you're going there expecting, the guy in The Dark Knight who takes all the money and pours gasoline on it and burns it, just because he wants to watch the world burn, I think he might be in a little bit of a disappointment. I'm sorry, because this guy is not that person. So. However, okay, so I throw it over to you because I know you've seen it. And those are some of my initial thoughts, and I can address anything else that you bring up. It might kick my memory up, but
because there's one thing in the movie that I think like the creators like hedged themselves as like a big get out of jail free card. Yeah. But it's like as far as the movie goes, like I enjoyed it in the sense that it was well made, well shot, and goddamn, Joaquin Phoenix crushes it. Yeah. Regardless of how well you determine to interpret, like, well, is his performance like actual Joker-ish? it is a great performance regardless. Like someone who he fully commits to the story of Arthur Fleck and makes us believe in it. And actually to the point where I looked at the film, I thought, there are some points where I looked at this stuff and go, hey, this is genuine. This is Joker stuff. This is like someone who's like really like on board with this kind of approach, this kind of insanity, and it's again, it works. Like the bit towards the end with when he's he's visited by his bad friend from the clown job and the midget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when Arthur just tells the midget he can go, and like the guy's kind of like, oh, it's like he's relieved at first, but then when he gets to the door and he realizes that Arthur's locked it, and you're kind of like, oh shit, that's real. That's some Joker level shit right there to lock the door for a short person right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I was honestly like nervous as to what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
Like because like that kind of like uncertainty, and also like during some parts with his interview with Murray Franklin. It's like I think it was his name, but Robert De Niro's character. It's like on the show, and I'm thinking like, yeah, this is kind of feels like what my belief of what the Joker is. Someone who just but like who has this like this utterly nihilistic view of the world, and he's just like he's got this like this twisted, almost funny, darkly comic exploration of it. It's like, and it's like, and it's like, and like I said, do you think that to the extent that parts of like Joker comport with my vision of the character, I think that's a testament to Joaquin Phoenix. But I don't know. It's like I think that like when they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. The filmmakers were when they basically say that okay, we're doing like a standalone movie that's like divorced from like the Batman mythos. It's like we want to present this serious exploration of like what turns like an average person into a criminal mastermind, the Clown Prince of Crime. And I just don't think they pull it off, really. It's like it's like they like I mean like you sure it's like I mean if you want to have the this serious grounded character study, then don't connect it to Batman. Just have it embrace it on its own terms. Don't show us how Bruce Wayne's parents die. It's like at the end of the movie. It's like because like that on one hand that kind of feels like the worst kind of corporate mandate. Like someone basically said, no, you gotta have like Bruce Wayne's parents die, but that actually kind of works on a certain level because for reasons I'll get into once I start talking about like the comics origins of Joker. But it's like, but wait, where was I going with this? God damn it!
No. Where you put, you're talking about how, it feels like that it was just kind of added in there because you have to have that element of them being shot and killed, as a result of, and it had to be in this movie.
Yeah. It's like just don't have that connection to Batman. Just have this be it's like like the standalone movie that doesn't tie into the Batman mythos. Yep. Tying it into the Batman mythos just generally does this film no favors, especially if you're not going to follow it up. So I mean, like for all I know, like maybe like Warner's like looked at the first weekend grosses and basically told the filmmakers by saying, "Hey, you're making a sequel now. You're not gonna you might not want to announce it, but you're making a sequel now."
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. It's like like I said, but also like the director, the creators, especially director Todd Phillips, has basically said this is kind of the comic movie for people who hate comic books, and that's kind of like really. Ooh. It's like it just feels like kind of like okay, yeah, it's like you're trying like it's a case of trying to have your cake and eat it too, and it just doesn't work. It's like I said, it's like it annoys me, and it's like. It's like, and it's like like I said, I can enjoy a lot of elements of this film on its own terms, but then when you start trying to tie it into like larger Batman mythos, like I said, not just from like throwing in like the death of Bruce Wayne's parents, but and this is where I was trying to go earlier, but making this making the Batman Joker relationship into a blood feud. All I want to say
Mhm.
is no,
Yeah.
no,
Mhm.
no, no.
Exactly. Yep.
God,
Agreed. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd agree with you, and it seems tacked on, honestly. To the part to where he goes to Wayne Manor and sees Little Bruce, right? For the first time, and he chases him down. It just doesn't seem. It just does not seem to me like it serves this character any. In fact. I agree with you. It adds this element that does not need to be there.
yeah. It's like, I mean, it's like it. I mean, to the extent that there is ambiguity in this, like in this interpretation, it's like I'm gonna push that ambiguity, basically say that okay, yeah, you want to say maybe it's like Batman and Joker are half brothers. I say okay, maybe they are, maybe they're not. God damn it, because okay, it's like maybe you can have that tension, it's like and exploit it in your own way. Like okay, to give an example of this, in Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's first major arc on Batman, the City and Court of Owls, we were introduced to a character who thinks that he is Thomas Wayne Jr. And it's like, and while there is comics precedence for the existence of this character, Batman also like shoots down like this character's existence, like the fact that he is like Thomas Wayne's like firstborn son, and like basically says like okay, so no, this isn't true, and you are just delusional, and that's the kind of like approach that I'm kind of taking with this here, the idea that it's like that the Joker is somehow related to Batman, and that his enmity for Batman like it stems from like this personal thing, is kind of that it's personal rather than just like I don't know, it's like existential, like because Batman is all about imposing order on Gotham, like creating a place where there is no crime, and the Joker is all about just smashing any notions of order. It's like that's the kind of relationship that I like to see in it's like in my Batman Joker stories and their origins as well. Because I think when I'm saying this, I guess I'm getting pretty close to actually talking about the actual Joker origins that we've had in the comics. So I mean, John, it's like, is there anything else you want to add about the movie or stuff that you liked or like were annoyed by or whatnot?
Oh no, I mean, I think you hit the nails on the head there, and they're multiple. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that yeah, it could have dealt without those elements. But the whole mother, I don't know. There's something else about this movie that kind of bugs me. Um, and I guess it has to do with, I mean, the character of, like I said, and I may have already said this, but it's the character of the Joker as a whole. They didn't do a good job convincing me that this is the guy who is the person that we've read about. So a lot of like even his mother and things like that. It's sort of like okay, that's you find about this and you flip and things like that. I almost think honestly that Joker doesn't need an origin film, but I enjoyed the film. Okay, so and
Okay.
and the reason why is because it's so much better to me, and I like the way that the script pulled it out, and that's what I was going to say earlier in like the Dark Knight, where he talks about how he got his scars, and he tells a different story every time, and I always thought that was a neat thing. It was like he can never tell the truth. He's, that you'd never know, right? And I was kind of hoping that this would actually be something like that. Like I said, I have that in the back of my head. It's not impossible for me to have a secondary set of expectations for a film. That's why I say good film, not a great Joker film. So
Yeah, but also you think that well, I guess one of the things I guess one of the last thing I want to mention though is that the creators did give themselves a get out of jail free card. Like in the sense that you remember that scene where Arthur like is dejected, he's pulling stuff out of his fridge, and then just climbs right into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very much like that's a scene that basically says, okay, the movie ended here. Everything else was just like occurring as his delusional fever dream as you ran out of oxygen in the fridge.
Yep. Again, I'm willing to go with any of that, but like I had commented before, that's me adding something to the film, and I like that. I really do. I think I hadn't even thought of that angle, but yeah, because I like, oh wow, yeah, that's fairly that in most cases is a fatal
man,
thing.
if I learned anything from G.I. Joe, it's like you can't get out of the fridge once you lock yourself in, man.
Yeah, and I don't think that was like, your modern day, a man
John?
Oh, hello, you there? Yeah. Hello?
John?
Yeah,
Yeah, you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
You lost connection for a second there? No big deal. I can cut this.
Shit. Okay.
I can trim it. It's easy. I can join these files together. So continuing on again, it's adding something to it, and it's like, okay, now I'm justifying the plot. You know what I mean? So that wasn't there. However, I'm willing to let them. I'll give them the get out of jail free card if they want to use it.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, like they wouldn't have put that there if they didn't want to basically say at some point, oh, well, maybe this didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's like, this is all in his head as he's just slowly dying in there.
So
like,
and the one other comment I'd like to make real quick before you continue on with your other analysis and comics that are related is I don't think we've ever heard this name before, have we?
No, we have not.
This is like the first time we've ever heard him refer, and I said it the other way that he's been referred to as Napier before, but we've never heard the name Fleck or Arthur Fleck. This is the first time. So, and I'm willing to even go as far as, okay, maybe he changes his name, maybe there's something that goes along with that. I don't know. You know what I mean? So. That's an interesting thing, and the get out of jail free card, and I think I'll give it to him. I'll give it to him. In fact, I'll be even a little bit more generous. I'll just say, hey, look, if they decide that they wanted to make something else, and then retcon a little bit of that, as part delusional, and even before that or around that, I'm totally good with that too. So yeah, I'm being generous. So that's because
they've earned it. They've earned that kind of generosity with you.
Yeah, absolutely, because they've demonstrated they can write something that I'm even good with the whole movie being fiction. Like in Joker's perspective, being fictional.
It's like when you say it like that, it one of the things that occurred to me after I saw the film is that this does kind of feel like it feels like the movie itself feels like the kind of story that like you'd hear from the Joker. It's when like someone like say it in the when he's been caught by the police or he's been interviewed at Arkham Asylum, and they say, well, what happened to you? How did you get like this? And then this is the story that he tells, and then like as soon as he's got the person on the hook, he basically go, ha ha, gotcha, and then he stabs a pencil in their ear and kills them.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like the whole laughing uncontrollably thing doesn't necessarily have to be a condition per se, right? It just be something that he's like, I just want, I'm just going to pander to your emotions this way. Like I'm manipulating the entire story. I'm good with this, honestly. If they want to do that and tell that in another movie, I'd be like, actually, it would strengthen this film. So there you go.
Yeah. So it's like, but like this is just like one origin of Joker. I mean, it's like it's not even the only cinematic origin of Joker. We got that in like Tim Burton's original Batman '89, and it's like when it comes down to like interpretations of like the origin of Joker, it's like I kind of went through a few different like feelings about this to the point where like okay, like I want like I don't want to know the origin of Joker, to also feeling like there's only one origin of Joker and it should be protected. As I was going back and rereading these like these origins of Joker, it's like there's actually been like more origins of Joker than you'd think in comics, really. In fact, they've been doing it since 1951. Yes, way back in Detective Comics number 168, and I know this because I've got my hardcover stack deck, the greatest Joker stories ever told, and it's the story of the man behind the Red Hood. And it starts off, interestingly enough, as Batman being called in as a guest lecturer for criminology at a university, which, okay, but this is like early 50s, so it's like you expect Batman stories should be a little silly that way. And this is also like a story written by co-creator Bill Finger and artist Sheldon Moldoff, and it's all about. It starts talking about like how Batman. There's one criminal like during Batman's early days that he didn't catch, and that was the Red Hood. And we get some goofy stuff. It's like early on, it's like Batman's running around. It's like running around campus trying to catch people because the Red Hood has shown up again after all these years, and they're running like, why is he showing up now, and why is it when Robin uses his like special chemical analyzing thing that like this person's hair, that the Red Hood's hair turns up as green? What the hell's up with that? Well, as it turns out, that not only has like the Red Hood been like the original Red Hood been kidnapped and put in a shed by someone who wants to perpetrate crimes by like assuming his identity. We found out that shock of all shocks, the Red Hood was actually Joker, because it turns out that last time Batman saw him, when the Red Hood was trying to get into the Monarch playing cards factory. Well, like he got knocked into this vat of chemicals, swam out to sea, and wound up like hey, like he had like all these chemicals. It's like turned his skin white and his hair green, like some kind of Joker, So yeah, it's like this is like it's an interesting story just for the fact that it comes from like so far back, and to the point where like people wouldn't have thought that, hey, it's like is the origin of Joker meant to be like sacred or unknowable, like as some people like me honestly consider it these days? Well, no, it's like, and it's like, to be honest, it's like it's fine. It's like, is it? But it's also noteworthy for the fact that it kind of serves as the origin for the best Joker origin story. And yeah, it's like, you probably know where I'm going with this. It's The Killing Joke by Alan Moore and Brian Boland. And it's like the story is notable for a lot of things, just from the mature reader's approach takes to Batman. It's awful status quo change to Batgirl, and just like it's like remorseless look at the ultimately fatal relationship between Batman and Joker. But it's also just like, it's really not just the Joker origin story. It's really just a story about the Joker, like trying to convince Batman that all it takes people to be like him is just one bad day. And he does this by trying to inflict like this terrible this terrible awful fate onto Commissioner Gordon. It's like, and then, but at the same time though, it's like as we're learning about like what all this horrible stuff that he's doing to Gordon, it's like we're getting the story of this failed comedian who has a pregnant wife. He's trying to get her a better life. He does this by hooking up with some criminals, and they just want him to be like the new Red Hood because, hey, like, you got a hood on your face. It means added anonymity. And it's like, as this is going on, it's like, I mean, you're kind of wondering like, where is this going? Like, I mean, what's this guy's deal? And then it's not until like you're towards the end that you realize, oh, this is where it's going. And to be honest, it's like this. That kind of mystery is probably was gone even before I started talking about this, and you can probably guess where I was going with it. But it's a Joker origin story that really works because it's not just about the Joker's origin. It's about his mentality, it's like his relationship with Batman. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and that it's not, and the fact that it's also like like the story of like how one of Batman's greatest villains came to be. It's like that's honestly kind of a bit of gravy on top of an already excellent story, and that's really kind of Moore's genius. It's like that he can give you something like that, like in addition to giving you a great story as it is. I mean, even like the end of it with Joker telling this one joke to Batman, and both of them just laughing about it at the end. I mean, that's creepy. It's chilling. But more than that, it's the we're not so different, you and I trope. I mean, that's an awful trope, but it works because its name is never invoked. I mean, it's like when you see Batman like give into that laughter right there, it's kind of like that ain't right. That's kind of creep. No, man. That ain't right. It's like, and that's like the genius appeal of the story. I mean, like 3 decades after it was originally published, like it's still a compelling read through Moore's script and Boland's it's like immaculate pencils. I mean, yes, it's awful what happens to Batgirl in here, and it's like halfway towards fridging. It's like in its overall narrative, but there's like this level of artistry. I think it's like I could get past that stuff to appreciate the story, what the story is saying right here. And it's also worth mentioning that it's like you think that okay, you created like a great origin of the Joker story, but to tell like what happens next, well, that takes some fucking balls on you, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what Ed Brubaker and Doug Mahnke had when they did The Man Who Laughs back in 2005. And wow, it's a fantastic story. I think it's actually reprinted within like some collections for The Killing Joke, because it's a really well done procedural, and it follows up naturally from The Killing Joke, because that was the story of the Joker's origin. The Man Who Laughs is the story of Batman's first encounter with the Joker, and basically it's all about the Joker just enacting some warped revenge on the people he believes that were responsible for turning him into the Joker, like through his own twisted logic, and an inexperienced Batman trying to catch up with what he's done in order to stop these killings before they happen. Especially when one of the Joker's targets turns out to be none other than Bruce Wayne himself. It's a really solidly written story with some great art from Monk, and it's highly recommended as well. But for years, I mean, like that was kind of like the de facto origin of the Joker, The Killing Joke. And then, like many years later, we got this other origin from none other than Paul Dini and Alex Ross. Whoa! I mean, holy crap, man! It's like these guys, it's like working together. It's like apparently, and I would have sent you a link for this, John, but the problem is that this story was apparently only reprinted in Batman Black and White Volume 2 as a story specific to this volume, because it's basically all about it's like these doctors at Arkham coming upon this case study about the Joker that reveals that maybe he's not insane. Maybe what he's doing is just like it may seem like irrational, but it's calculated irrationality. Just someone who just looks at all this crazy stuff, who thinks about all this crazy stuff, and just finds a way to make it to pull it off in real life. Not really unlike what we got from Heath Ledger's take on the Joker in The Dark Knight, but it's all this. But it's just like this interesting take on this, on the on the Joker as a mobster who knew all the angles, and when he was turned into the Joker, found a way to just have more freedom than before. But well, if the Joker is sane, then according to this report, then why hasn't he been dragged in front of a court again? Well, that's mainly because of the reason for the doctor who actually compiled this report, in the first place. And as far as Arkham, least trustworthy Arkham doctors, well, I'll let you think about who who fits that description more than anything else. So then there was another take on the Joker's origin, specifically years later in Batman Confidential. Batman Confidential was an anthology series, kind of meant to take the place of the Legends of the Dark Knight series, where it just had a rotating creative team tell stories about Batman from his early days. And this is the second arc of the series was called Lovers and Madmen by Michael Green, illustrated by Dennis Cohen. Green has written he's the guy who's written lots of stuff, including, I believe, he's had a stint on TV show Heroes. He's also responsible for co-writing Blade Runner 2049 and and the recent Murder on the Orient Express remake. So he's not a guy he's a guy who's got some cred when it comes to writing popular stuff. But but the thing is, when I heard that DC was giving us this second arc of Batman Confidential to be about the origin of the Joker, I was kind of like, fuck that, I'm killing Joke for life, yo. So yeah, it's I was not interested in finding out this take on the Joker's origin at all. Well, until I decided to do a podcast about Joker origins in comics. Funny how that turned out. So, but is this some story? Was the story as bad as I was expecting? Not entirely. So it's still a story about Batman's early years, and especially about Batman who comes into contact with this criminal, a master criminal who comes into Gotham, and his first job he pulls, he gives up halfway through because he realizes it was too easy. It was boring. It's I don't have the fun. There's no fun to it fun to doing this stuff anymore. And even though he's encouraged by a girl at a bar to try and hey, you've got a gift. Why don't you just try and embrace it, and you'll find your mirth again, your smile. And he tries that, but it doesn't work until he encounters this Batman character, this over the top embodiment of someone trying to stop him, that he realizes that, hey, maybe there is I do have a reason for trying to do this. And Batman and this guy cross paths a couple times. He stabs Batman's girlfriend through the gut. Batman throws his razor tip batarang, mind you, at this guy, and he gives him some cuts around his cheeks, just coincidentally enough to give him a rather wide grin, And after this, Batman realizes that, hey, this guy, he's just plain nuts. It's he's not a rational type of criminal. He's just plain insane. Because he went and talked to a rather respected doctor, Dr. Jonathan Crane over at Arkham to get some insight into this guy. And so he realizes that, okay, well, this guy's just plain nuts, and there's nothing I can do about them. Well, I'll just let the mob let him know where he is so they can take care of it. Oh, wait, that's kind of bad. I should probably do something about that. And you kind of see where the story kind of goes wrong. I mean, I liked Cohen's really really scratchy, almost impressionistic art in over the course of the series, and the idea of this this criminal who was just kind of like bored and depressed, and who finally finds his joie de vivre again. It's like fighting Batman. I kind of like that. But when Green goes into like really on the nose stuff, like like the Proto Joker talking to this girl at the bar, and she calls him Mr. J, and you're like, wait a second, this is Harley Quinn, isn't it? It is. God damn it! It's like, and just when you're doing this on the nose, like when Batman cuts this grin into like this Proto Joker's face, it's like, oh, that's how he got his smile. Ah, I get it. And and then the Joker winds up falling into a vat of antipsychotics at this like Ace Chemical when he's been having the shit beat out of him by these criminals. It's like, okay, there's more. I actually found like some stuff here that I enjoyed more than I was expecting to, but it was just some of the stuff was just like really on the nose and obvious. It was just kind of like, oh man. It's like, and especially when you have Batman, deciding that, oh, I'm going to tell these criminals where this Proto Joker character is, so they can deal with him themselves. Okay, it's like when you're dealing with like early Batman stories, like that's kind of like a license for him to do, like take some of the character that we're not expecting to, like, and. But this though is going way too far. The idea that Batman would just try, would turn things over to criminals to sort out. No, I don't believe it. For a better example, go turn to what Tom King had Batman do at the end of the War in Jokes and Riddles, when the Riddler would just not shut up about what he was trying to do in order to make the Joker laugh again, and what Batman did in response to that. That's a good example of what you can do. The kind of license you can have when you're trying to get Batman to do stuff he wouldn't normally do, and how it can make good like dramatic weight for a story. Not this one, however. So, but as far as other Joker origins, I mean, there's also like a bit in I was told in like Batman Streets of Gotham, Volume 3, The House of Hush, when the Joker was torturing a mob boss, and like halfway through, and he like slashes him up and feeds him to some hyenas, and then we find out that it's like this this like character that this poor little kid that had ratted out the like what the mob boss is trying to do, like two people at Leslie Tompkins' clinic, and the mobster found out, and he just like caught the kid, and he's made him into his like slave and all. It's like this is meant to be like Paul Dini's take on like how the Joker came to be. So because apparently he someone asked him like, hey, wait, is this character supposed to be like the Joker? It's like, and I Dini responded on Twitter saying, yeah, it is. It's an interesting piece as far as this goes, and as far as like the story itself goes, I mean, House of Hush is an interesting tale in the sense that it's kind of like coming at a really like different time in Batman's timeline, because it's basically when Dick Grayson had basically assumed the role of Batman, but then like Bruce had subsequently came back and had to assume the role himself. So it's like there's. I mean, like Dini, I think, had some good ideas about what to do with Hush in terms of like the villain who like has Bruce Wayne's face, and there's some interesting bits here. But it also kind of like there's also like a lot of stuff going on here that just it feels like too unfocused, like ultimately in order to like to fully work. It's got some good bits here, but you kind of like I have to overlook a bit here, but also that's not the only but we're not done yet, because hey, turns out that it's like that there's been some efforts to like nail down Joker in the New 52 era. I mean, Andy Kubert of all people wrote a Batman story during like their Villains Month years back. He did a story about Joker who winds up like getting his own personal ape, who he names Jackanapes, and he raises himself, and it causes him to remember the days back when his Aunt Eleanor raised him. It's like, and like loved to scrub his mouth out with all sorts of chemicals. It's like for a guy who's like spent most of his career illustrating comics, this actually isn't like as bad as I was expecting when it comes to him trying to add some dimension to like the origin of the Joker. I mean, like it helps that the artist Andy Clark does a good crazy Joker, and also like adds some creepy like vibes to his to the old like young baby Joker or young Joker like scenes. But like but it's not really something that you're gonna like that you remember, like aside from the fact that hey, it's like that like Joker got a special in this Villains Month and it was written by Andy Kubert. Okay, that's fine. But when it comes to Joker origins in the New 52, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo had the right idea with their volume 4 of Batman, their first volume of Zero Year, where it takes a lot from it borrows this is a story that borrows a lot from not just Alan Moore but also Frank Miller as well. And in terms of like rewriting a series that just kick like not just Batman Year One, but also I guess to replace the Killing Joke in like in continuity, it's really a lot better than it has the right to be, because not only just it has the right idea from the beginning in terms of presenting like a Bruce Wayne who realizes that no, I've like Bruce Wayne is dead. It's a Bruce Wayne who says Bruce Wayne is dead, and I am going to fight a guerrilla war on crime from the shadows. And it's not until he realizes that hey, not only is that is this like fighting crimes from the shadows not going to work. It's going to need a symbol, but also more than that, it's going to need someone bigger than that. It's going to need Bruce Wayne himself actually like fighting this. It's like that's kind of the genius of the story. Like it's not just a story that we knew that obviously this is all about Bruce Wayne becoming Batman, but it's also about Bruce Wayne realizing that he needs to be himself to fight the crimes of war that needs to be fought on two fronts. It's like in order to work, but where does the Joker come in this? Well, Bruce Wayne's antagonists here are the Red Hood gang, led by like a Red Hood Zero, and like the group themselves are just like completely anonymous, just people who were just like recruited or blackmailed by the Red Hood to present a like anonymous terror wave of crime. So, and when you get and when while you look at like this character who like identifies themselves as Red Hood like Zero, it's like you realize that this is the Joker, obviously. So what's his deal here? So, but he's like this weird, it's like idiosyncratic character who doesn't seem to have a real reason for what he's doing, and it's like, and I think that works, and especially when you find out at the very end when Bruce and Alfred are following up the detective work on trying to track down who this character was. They find out that the actual leader of the gang, the original leader of the gang, has been dead for a couple weeks. So who the hell was this guy? Who the hell was this person who figured that the best way to instill discipline in his groups was to have them chew through liquid cement until it hardened? We'll never know. And that's kind of like Joker origin story that I appreciate. This the kind of the story that leaves you like wondering like, oh, who is this guy? I mean, yes, the Killing Joke is kind of like the platonic ideal of this thing, of what I want like the origin of the Joker to be. But stories like Zero Year and also Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, with like the brilliant Heath Ledger take on it, to the point where, I mean, yeah, he says that, yeah, if I have to have a history, I prefer to be multiple choice. Well, that's not like from the movie. That's from The Killing Joke. And it's like, as far as like Joker stories go, origin stories go, let's get more of them. Let's, like, as many as there are stars in the sky, because it's like anything that will confuse the like the actual thing, to basically say, because at this point, it's like there's several Joker story origin stories out there, but there's not really. You can also point to one like The Killing Joke and say, like, this is the definitive one. But let's just get more to the point where, like, we can just basically say, like, no, there is no definitive origin of the Joker out there. Let's just make it just, like, it's just be completely unknowable, just completely random. And so, yeah, I mean, I've got issues with how, like, the Joker movie interacts with the Batman mythos. But it's, as far as like a Joker origin story goes, let's throw that in here as well. Like, we got Batman '89. It's like we've got The Killing Joke. We've got Zero Year. We've got The Man in the Red Hood. Throw them all in. It's like, these are all true. It's like they're all true. They're all false. So it's like, yeah. It's like let's get more Joker origin story. Let's make it confused. Let's make it so his past truly is multiple choice. That he is chaos. That he can never be known. That's what I want to see from my Joker stories. So, hey, you got another one? Go for it. But really, it's like Alan Moore kind of wrote the best one, so consider that first. All right, John. It's like, any thoughts on your end about all this?
Oh, I agree, completely. I have no extra thoughts outside of I completely agree with you on that, on every aspect of it. In fact, so I don't know. Are you a fan of Deep Space Nine? Okay, so for those of people that are, there's this character named Garrick. He's on the station. He's an exiled Cardassian, and he's supposedly like an a member of the Order, like an ex-member of the Obsidian Order. Like, he's like he was a really ruthless guy, and then he was kind of exiled to the station, and not allowed to return to his home planet. And there's this one. It's early on. It's in season 2, and he befriends the Doctor, or at least we think so. And he is, and he has this implant in his head that he got, and he couldn't stand living on the station for so long, being an exile. So he used to, the implant was so that he could resist torture. So he said he turned it on a little bit more, and it would just pump him full of endorphins, so he could, tolerate it. And then he pumped it on, and then he tells the Doctor, because he's the origin of this particular story here is that he's suffering because the device is breaking down. And so he tells the Doctor that he tells him that one day he just left it on, and he never turned it off. So, which is the thing. He goes to the former head of the Order, goes to Cardassia, because he understands that that's the person that could probably help him the most. And he and he's like, yeah, he told me about this story about his friend, that he worked, his name was, like Elam. And the guy tells him, he's such a practiced liar. That's just his first name. Like, you could never ever trust anything that this character says. And so he gives him the cure. He gives the Doctor, the Starfleet Doctor, the cure for it, but he's like, you shouldn't be thanking me, and he, because I'm letting him live, and that's going to be the worst torture. It'd be better off if he died. So anyway, regardless, he's such a practiced liar. At the end of it, Doctor comes back and he's treating him, and he's getting better, and he asks him the question. He's like, so which part of your stories were true? he's like, well, he's like, they're all true, and then the doctor says, well, what about the lies? And he says, especially the lies. And
Ah,
so you could, which is like to me, kind of remind, it's like, yeah, I kind of like that. And by the way, his character mellows out a lot more in the later seasons. Unfortunately, I think it was kind of cool the way that they wrote his character. But he was. I mean, he was one of the things that and you and I like this. He tells this. Someone tells him the story about the boy who cried wolf. He's like, haven't you ever heard? Yeah, I think it's a doctor. He says, haven't you ever heard of the story of the boy who cried wolf? And he tells it to him. He's like, oh yeah. He tells it. He's like, oh, the boy cries wolf. Blah 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 blah. And then the villagers don't come out the third time because they think he's that he's lying. And he says, so you see the moral of the story? And he's like, yeah, you never tell the same lie twice. And I think of the Joker as someone who's like that, right? Like you're just always diverted. Like he's such a manipulator. At least that's how I see him, and that's how I would like to. Like I said, when we were talking about this movie, I'm willing to forgive the whole damn movie. as just some more subterfuge. If they did that, I mean, I could see them coming out with another Joker film, like completely doing it. Man, I would be like, yeah, do that. I don't know how much stomach people will have for that, but I'd watch it. So yeah, I mean, yeah, bring it on. Make all of the origin stories subterfuge, all of them. I'd love it. So yeah.
I'd totally go see another Joker origin story based
Mhm.
based on that idea alone.
Now that would be a great trick. I would love to see them do that, and if they had the balls to do it, then yeah, throw it in, do it. Yeah, you can even throw, you can throw Bruce Wayne into it, Thomas Wayne, and everything else. Fine, do it all. You know, make it different. Anyway, so yeah, I agree with you completely. And I think people should go and see the film. Um, and maybe we'll see, maybe more explanations coming. Maybe that, in that sequel. I mean, it did fantastic this last weekend, as we discussed earlier.
And God
So,
knows, like companies like Warner Brothers, they sure love money.
yeah, geesh, yeah, you could milk this one for a while, Warner Brothers. Take some notes. Anyway,
Yeah.
so do you know what you're going to be talking about next time?
Oh yeah. It's like because next time we go not gentle into that good night, but go driving a converted tank covered in glitter and spangles. The sound system audible from Mars, blaring nothing but bangers. Gods, pop stars, and ending. It's all about the final volume and the retrospective on The Wicked and Divine. The series I've been looking forward to seeing its ending since the beginning of the year, and longer than that, really. So we'll see you then to talk about it.
All right, catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
Laters.